Here, I would hate to be a new mom in this day and age. It's so confusing, so overwhelming, and maybe just offer a little bit more encouraging advice instead of just like, oh, you're never gonna sleep ever again. Just like kiss sleep goodbye. Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, just welcome. How are you? In today's video, I thought we would do something a little bit different and fun. I wanted to react to your guys' unsolicited motherhood advice. I asked you guys on Instagram, like, what is the most unsolicited advice you got as a mom, and I have them all right here, so I thought it would be fun to react to them and just tell you my thoughts on them, if I feel like it is good advice or not. And yeah, so let's go ahead and let's get into this video. And if you're new here, my name is Noelle. I am a mom of two toddlers, and I do all kind of motherhood, homemaking, lifestyle content. We do a lot of baking, vlogs, you know, you name it, we do it here, home decor stuff, and a lot of thrifting. So if you're new, just welcome. Oh, some of these are some of the ones that I've been told too, but a lot of these are what you guys told me as well, and I've been told a lot of the same stuff. So I think that a lot of the advice just gets thrown around from mom to mom, and not necessarily is something that's going to work for that mom, or kind of in a way fear-mongering. I feel like I'm not saying we shouldn't give new moms advice, because I think we definitely should, but I think we should be careful maybe how we're giving advice and maybe the words we choose, and maybe just offer a little bit more encouraging advice instead of just like, oh, you're never gonna sleep ever again, just like kiss sleep goodbye. You know, maybe we should be a little bit more gentle in how we are giving our new moms advice, because with all this advice and unsolicited opinions and all this research out here, I would hate to be a new mom in this day and age. It's so confusing, so overwhelming. I do have a few new moms in my life personally, and they always tell me how overwhelming everything is. So let's just keep that in mind when we're giving advice to new moms, and how we maybe just work on our delivery or the advice we're giving in general, because all these things they're not even bound to happen for everybody, you know, like maybe some of these things aren't even gonna be a thing for them, so like let's not scare them. Okay, so I know we've all heard this one, sleep when the baby sleeps. How I feel about this one, I know we've all been told this like a million times, sleep when the baby sleeps. I don't really think that's good advice. Like maybe in the beginning it's good advice, but let's be real, you got to get things done around the house, right? So I don't really like that one, sleep when the baby sleeps, because I feel like sometimes that's cool, but I need to get up and I need to do things around the house when the baby's sleeping. If it's not working, or if I need to tidy around the house or cook or something, if I just want to give my kids my full attention when they're awake, then sleeping might not be the best option. You'll fall behind on like everything. So I don't know if that's the best advice, and I've never really taken the sleep when the baby sleeps advice, maybe in the very first few weeks of newborns, but I have two toddlers running around, so there is no way I'm going to be really sleeping when the baby sleeps the next time around. So maybe for the first time baby, that's okay for the first few weeks, but me personally, I've never really taken that advice. You can say goodbye to sleep. Like, here's one where it's just like, I feel like installing fear into new moms, or I don't know, like telling them that you could say goodbye to sleep is not true. You definitely will still get sleep. Don't worry. You might get less sleep. Your sleep quality might not be as good as it has in the past before kids, but you're still gonna get sleep. Like, don't worry. So don't listen to that one. You are still gonna get sleep. As the kids get older, they sleep through the night. So just wait till they get older is what I've heard a lot too, and you guys told me this one as well. Just wait till they get older is another one that you get told. I feel like a lot of you had this one. Just wait till they get older. I don't know if they mean like it only gets like worse as they get older, or like just wait till they get older to do certain things. I'm not really sure. I guess it just depends how it's put, but I mean, things do change as they get older. Parenting only gets harder. I don't know. I feel like it gets harder in a different way. Like, mind you, my kids are only 3 and 4, so I don't know. But I just hear a lot of parents telling me, and I've told you guys, that parenting only gets harder. And I don't know how I feel about that one. It's a good warning, but at the same time, it's also really scary. I have had so many moms come up to me in my time of being a mom and tell me like, oh, like, just enjoy this stage because teenagers are terrible. Teenagers are just horrible and they're just like the worst basically, or I hate teenagers. Like I hear that so often. So what does that do for me? It makes me very scared for the teenage years, and that is probably does that for a lot of younger moms that are still in the baby toddler stage. Maybe it's true, maybe we just need to soak it up. I know I was sucky as a teenager, and I was definitely not the best teenager. I was probably like a parent's worst nightmare, to be honest. So I'm definitely nervous for the teen years, but I don't want to hear it all the time about how, like, you know, just wait till they get older, parenting only gets harder. And I'm sure it does in a lot of ways, but probably more mentally and not as physical as it is now when they're toddlers, chasing them around, always telling them no, no, no and stuff. I don't know. Your children will grow up weird because they are homeschooled. I've heard this. Whenever I have told somebody out and about, like, oh, they're like, oh, what school do they go to or whatever. I don't even know why someone would be asking me that in general, but I've gotten that my kids are going to be weird because I am deciding to homeschool, and I don't think that's true at all. I think there's a lot of ways to do it, and my kids are still going to be very social, so I am not worried about homeschooling. And I just feel like to judge someone just because they decide to homeschool that their kids are going to be weird is just a big no. Don't agree with that one. Oh, okay, you can't go blank with the baby. So movie theaters, a music festival, that's personally what I was told. And a lot of you guys had like just the overall statement, you can't go or travel with the baby or kids or whatever. That's not true. Like, I've been told you can't go to the movie theaters, you can't go to this music festival when my babies were young or when my son was young, and I'm like, I literally could. It's called baby wearing. But people love to tell you what you can and can't do because they found it really difficult. And yes, it may be difficult to take your kids out and about. I don't know about the movie theaters. You probably will have to wait till they're a little bit older, but I took my babies to the movie theaters, or at least my son, a few times, and he did wake up and I just fed him back to sleep and he was fine. So I don't believe that that's true. I think you can take them wherever you really want to, as long as it's not like a bar or something. But yeah, I think you can do it. You just have to have like more of a strategy. You won't be able to have any fun with kids. I don't agree with this one at all. You can have so much fun with kids, and I feel like things can be more fun with kids depending on what you're doing. So I mean, maybe going out to certain events like a fancy restaurant or something like that might not be more fun with kids, but if you're doing family fun things, like family friendly things, then I think it could be so much fun. And I don't agree. I think kids make everything more fun, to be honest, and a little bit more stressful. I'm not going to sit here and say like every time we go out it's just like a pure joy. It is difficult, but I think kids do make everything more fun. The holidays, just everyday life, I think they make things a lot more fun. So I don't agree. Vacations will not be the same with kids. This is true. Vacations will not be the same with kids, but I don't think you should not go on them because you have kids. I think you should maybe change locations on where you're going. Again, family friendly here, I think, is the name of the game. And I think vacations will be different, but you know, don't discourage people from going on vacations because it's going to be hard. Like, life is not easy, and you should still travel with kids. I think it's fun to travel with kids, if not more fun, but it is going to be probably a little difficult depending on their age. Your marriage will forever change when having children. I don't know, I don't really feel like my marriage has changed much since having kids, so I don't agree. Again, it all depends on the person, but like, don't just like blanket statement things when giving advice. That's my point of this video. Be careful of the advice you're giving people. My marriage, I don't feel like really has changed. It's very similar to how it was before kids. So breastfeeding has no benefits for your baby. This is one I was personally told by someone that I knew in my life once upon a time, and it's like, what? Breastfeeding has so many benefits. So don't listen to people when they just tell you stuff. It's like, just because you formula fed your baby doesn't mean that breastfeeding isn't good. She literally told me breastfeeding has no benefits, and I had to like look it up and show her, like, here you go, like, breastfeeding is really good for your baby. Breast is best if you can. So I just thought that was interesting and had to include it because it's like, girl, what? We had our baby on formula and nothing was wrong with them. Oh yeah, I was told this before too. This was another one of your guys's. I've been told this as well. when people see you maybe having to pump or the struggle of breastfeeding or whatever, and people, especially older people, will be like, well, we formula fed and they are fine. Okay, that's great for you. Like, your comments are not necessary. I'm choosing to breastfeed. Breast is best. Look it up. And that's just like how I feel. So your comment is invalid and unwanted, okay? Sorry if I'm like sassy in this video, but these comments like get to me as far as people just giving unsolicited advice. And for you guys, we're saying the same thing. It's just like rude. Just stop. Don't give your baby that pacifier. It will cause nipple confusion or mess up their teeth. Yep, I was told this in the hospital by nurses and yada yada, a few family members. I think you should just do what you want to do. I had no nipple confusion, and I think a lot of people don't. I don't know really where that came from, but my kids didn't really like pacifiers anyway, so that really wasn't a thing. But I had people constantly telling me in the beginning not to do it, and they didn't even like the pacifier, but I was trying it to see if it was something that would help soothe them. But I've heard a lot of people not even having to deal with nipple confusion, so I think you should just do what you feel is best. Motherhood will be so difficult. Now, this is a statement that I feel like is very true. Motherhood is difficult, maybe not as difficult for some people, but I think it's a pretty fair warning. But maybe if you're going to give this advice as motherhood is difficult, and maybe tell this truth, maybe say something like motherhood is difficult but so rewarding. Motherhood is difficult but so worth it. You know, like give it more of a positive spin and let them know, yes, it will be difficult. It will have its ups and downs, but it's so worth it and it's such a blessing. So maybe that's a good way to give that advice. Just throw some positive in there, because the positive is what makes all this worth it. Stay-at-home moms are bored and unhappy. I was told that too when deciding to like kind of give up my career as a makeup artist, that I was gonna be bored and unhappy, and that could be that's so far from the truth. I am so happy to be able to stay home with my kids, so I don't agree. And I feel like you got to do what's best for you. Don't let people tell you these things. You have to really truly evaluate what's going to be best for you in your situation, in your mental health, and your child. You would rather give your career up to stay at home with your baby. You will be dying to come back to work. Not true for me. I was super happy to stay home, honestly. Just wait till they hit the terrible twos. I was told that a lot too before my kids turned 2. And I don't even know if I agree with that. I feel like toddler years are just so difficult in general. Like from 1.5 to like where we are now, which my oldest is 4, are still very difficult. So I don't think terrible twos is even a thing. I really don't, because like when does terrible 2 stop? If they're like 3, 4, 5, like I don't know. I don't even know if that's a thing. So don't tell people that. Just toddlers are hard in general. If you choose to breastfeed, you will feel like a cow. I might have felt like that at some points, but I don't think you should discourage anyone from breastfeeding, because it's a beautiful thing and it's very healthy for your baby and has a lot of benefits, like I was saying earlier. So there might be times you feel like that, but don't discourage anybody. Just say like you can do it. Maybe sometimes you'll feel just like you're always like a milk machine or something, but you can do it. It has a lot of benefits. Just spin some positives on there. Homeschooling kids don't have any social interaction. I've heard that before. That's not true. I think, again, it just depends how you do it. Put them in sports, activities, homeschooling groups, name it, take them to the park. Like, not true. Clean the house when baby is asleep. I was saying earlier, I kind of agree with that, but sometimes just rest too. Like, don't feel like you can't rest either. There are going to be some times where maybe you want to feel good and you're up on your game and you're like, yes, I'm going to get something done while the baby sleeps. And there's going to be other times where you're like, I'm just fucking exhausted. Like, I just need to sit and do nothing, and that's okay too. It's fine. Just let the baby cry. I have heard that so many times too, and at first I was all about the cry it out method like a while ago, maybe like a few years ago when Nola was a baby, but I don't know, like the cry it out method is hard, and I feel like when they're crying, they're telling you something. That's their only way of communication, and maybe it's okay to let them cry sometimes, but don't let it go too long. That's my advice with that. So don't let your baby cry for too long. It's impossible to keep your house clean with kids. Do I agree with this one? I don't feel like it's impossible, but I do think it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and maybe tell that mom like, hey, you're gonna have to work harder. If you know she's like a neat freak, you're gonna have to work a little harder to keep your house clean. Like, it is difficult, but it's not impossible. Gentle parenting won't work with your kids. They'll be out of hand. I've heard this many times too. I don't know. I think every kid is different. Every parent is different. Gentle parenting is a very like give and take situation, and it doesn't always work, but I think it's worth trying and implementing, and not just doing gentle parenting. I think you kind of need to pick and choose on what you're doing with gentle parenting. Enjoy it because it goes fast. The struggle, enjoy it because it goes fast. And then my thing is, the struggle is real still. Just because it goes fast, it's still such a struggle at these ages. But I do agree, I think that we should enjoy and soak up these moments because the time does go fast. I can't believe my son is already 4 and my youngest is 3. So the time does go fast, but that doesn't minimize the struggle of having toddlers. Is still very difficult. Put socks on your baby. Oh my gosh, I used to hear that as well, and you guys agree. You guys told me this one, and I feel like, yeah, people would always be like, put socks on that baby. He doesn't like socks. He just kicks them off and they're pointless. So I would just do like the little footies if it was wintertime, or put a blanket and like not even worry. His feet are fine. Like, you could feel if they're cold, right? Don't drink or eat while the baby is breastfeeding. They will choke. I've never heard this one, but this one came from you guys, and I thought that was so interesting. I didn't know that was a thing, and I don't know if it's a thing. I think I used to drink and eat and the baby was fine. I don't think I really was eating while they were feeding though, so I thought that one was interesting. Can't believe someone even said that. Don't use certain products because that mom didn't. Yeah, I feel like you have to be very careful about the products you use on yourself and your kids during pregnancy, postpartum, just in general. I'm a huge like non-toxic product person, so I think you should be really careful on what you're using, but do your own research. Just because someone else said not to use that product, do your own research, see if it's actually toxic or not, and make your decision like that. Don't just do something because someone else tells you. Always do your research, your own research, and come to your own conclusion. That's so important. Don't carry them too much, you will spoil them. I think that they're only little once, and if you want to carry them around the house and you want to just love on them all the time, I think that's your business and you should do whatever you want. Honestly, people love to say that line, oh, you're gonna spoil them, or oh, you just hold that baby all the time, like they're just gonna be so spoiled. Well, you know what? They're only little like that once, and I feel like you do what you feel like you have to do and you want to do, because pretty soon they're gonna be so big you can't even hold them. So there's nothing wrong with smothering them in a lot of love, in my opinion. Anyways, that's gonna be it for now. I might do this video again and do like a part 2 if you guys have more unsolicited mom advice you want me to react to and give my opinions on. So let me know down below in the comments if you like this style or this video, and yeah, maybe we'll do a part 2 if you guys really want it. But yeah, I thought this was really interesting, in seeing what certain people have been told for unsolicited mom and parenting advice. Not all advice is good advice. Make sure you're taking the source where this advice is coming from into consideration. Is this even somebody that you would take advice from in the first place? Always think in your head, like, is their lifestyle a lifestyle that I even agree with? Like, why are they even telling me this? I'm not saying all advice is bad. Just really be careful and mindful and intentional about the advice you take, and also do your own research. Never forget to do your own research, because that is so important. If not the most important thing about this video and takeaway is, don't let someone tell you something without doing your own research, and make sure you make your own decision, and don't let other people just tell you something to scare you or talk you into something that maybe you just don't want to do. So I hope you guys like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.